A new study suggests that Alzheimer's disease may be transmissible from one person to another in very rare circumstances. However, this doesn't mean that you can catch it from someone the same way that you can catch a virus like the flu. Well, here to talk to us more about the issue is Paulette Freeman from the Bridge Alzheimer's and Dementia Resource Center in Shreveport and Dr. Steve Alexander, a professor at LSU Health Shreveport. Well, this is some pretty shocking news right now, right? Let's kind of dissect this right now. How common is this?
It's actually a very uncommon phenomenon. This is something that we don't encounter anymore because originally the human growth hormone that was being used to treat people with very short stature was prepared from human pituitaries. So they used cadaver material to prepare this. So there would be some beta amyloid protein that is present, and that was being transmitted in the therapy to the recipients.
And how many recipients do you guys know that did they contract from this?
What we've seen is there was a study of 1,898 patients, and of those, only 5 actually had this dementia-like syndrome that occurs from the receipt of that drug. It's still fairly rare, but it's occurring in people who are quite young, so it's very unusual.
Okay, I mean, I can't even imagine being given that call and being like, hey, guess what?
Yeah, it's something that's fairly restricted to a time period that is like in the 80s and 90s, and of that it's really restricted to people living in the United Kingdom.
So can you tell us more about the specific study, the treatment, and the proteins that were found?
What they were using was human growth hormone. Because it was coming from the brain, it was also frequently contaminated with things like prion proteins, which can also cause Creutzfeldt-Jakob's disease or mad cow disease, and it can also seed the brain with beta amyloid that can trigger the development of Alzheimer's.
That is absolutely insane. Well, Paulette, let's go ahead and talk about, you obviously deal with Alzheimer's. That is what your expertise are in as well. Go ahead and talk to us a little bit more. I mean, it is remarkable that the individual was just found last week in Benton, right? We talked about with you guys the day before about wandering around, wandering off, and how to keep our loved ones safe. And the next day, that woman was located, which was like insane.
So happy, and we're so glad that the weather was better, because if it had happened the week before, it would when it was snowing and ice, and it would have been a different situation. But I just encourage, whenever there's a question about Alzheimer's, dementia, or the brain, give the Bridge Alzheimer's Dementia Resource Center a call, because if we don't know the answer, we have access to resources like Dr. Steve Alexander at LSU Health Shreveport, and we bring in the experts and we'll get the answers for you.
What types of topics do you guys usually cover? I know you guys also host a lot of meetings with different individuals, caretakers, to kind of help people get through this, to process it, which is a remarkable resource that you guys offer. Talk to us about some of the topics and guest speakers when you do bring them in. What are you guys discussing?
Okay, so we have caregiver support groups, but last November we had an education conference, and there were 3 breakout session speakers, and not everyone was able to listen to them. So we're going to offer that in our first Wednesday series. So Dr. Jeff Overdyke is going to present his Depression in Elders. Stacy Hand is going to talk about different levels of care, and then Laura Gaucher is going to talk about empowering yourself as a caregiver. And we will have Steve on also on our first Wednesday workshop to talk about his studies that he's doing.
Something that I find extremely interesting, which I did not know, is after talking to Ms. Gaucher, that we have a very high population of individuals who are suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia, and that number is going to increase over the next few years. And so I'm so glad that we have resources like you guys that educate individuals if we have a loved one that is suffering from this, or they're just now being diagnosed. What do we do?
That's right. Yes. So we're so glad to be able to be here for the community, for Northwest Louisiana. We have Alzheimer's community forums coming up, and we do Dementia 101 with everyone, and different topics. Yes, it gets you prepared. So even if you've been diagnosed, if your mother has been diagnosed and you have any questions, first thing to do is please call us.
And that can be scary, right, Paulette? I'm assuming that a lot of the people that come to you are scared about that kind of diagnosis and be like, what do I do now? Or if it's my mom, myself, of like, what do I do?
Right. So if you come to the center, we will help navigate your way through all the legal, the insurance, anything that you need help on. We're going to listen to you. We're going to provide resources.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here today, for talking to us about this very odd phenomenon that's happened. But again, you guys heard Dr. Alexander, to rest assured, right?
Yes.
Rest assured.
No panic.
No panic right now. Okay, we'll
Yes.
take it from you guys because you guys know what you're talking about. But thank you both for being here today and for talking to us about the Alzheimer's and the bridge and what to look out for.
Thank you.